In the first practice set, we are going to be practicing creating a list of numbers, copying a repeated cell pattern, and then using a cell reference in a mathematical equation. The first thing you're going to do is go to the sheet labeled Practice 1 in the Activity 1 data spreadsheet. And then these instructions, I'm just going to go through them in the video. So if you're like, where is this information coming from, or why are we doing something? These are the instructions that go with each Practice 1, A, B, and C. In the column under Practice 1A, we are going to create a list of repeated numbers. So when we want to create a list, or I've specified 10 iterations of the number 1, you insert the number that you want to create. And then sometimes it's helpful to identify a pattern for Excel. So if you want the same number repeated, you can highlight those two cells. And then when you hover over that bottom little square, your white plus sign will turn into a black one. And then you can create a numbered list. Okay. Now, if you're like, I didn't count, which is pretty much what I just did, and you don't know how many ones you've created, at the bottom of Excel, it'll tell you how many cells have values in them. So if I go down here, I can see the count, or the number of selected cells that contain data, are 9. I also have quick maths, which are sum and averages. So if I need to make 10 iterations, I can just copy down the 1 again, and now I have a count of 10. So that's how we would copy the same cell contents across a range of cells. For Practice 1B, we're creating a numbered list that increases by an interval of 2, starting at a minimum value of 0, and then we want to end at a maximum value of 10. Similar to how we created a repeated numbered list, in Excel, we just have to let the program know what our number pattern is. So if I'm increasing by intervals of 2, I know the first number in my list would be 0, the second number would be 2, and then I can just copy until I see my number 10. Now, the other thing that happens, I'm just going to undo that really quick because I kind of scrolled quickly. When you start dragging, you can see there's a little box next to that black cursor that tells you what number you should be ending on when you release your, if you're using a trackpad or if you're using your mouse, when you release that, it'll tell you what number your pattern will end on. So that's how we would create a numbered list with a pattern. And then for Practice 1C, if we want to create a list that incorporates a mathematical equation, for this example, I'm using x plus 5, where x is a cell reference for each iteration of the Practice 1B column. So to put in a mathematical equation, you have to have an equals sign. X is the cell reference for the Practice 1B column, so if I want this value plus 5, I can insert that as a function. When I press enter, it will calculate the equation. If I want to copy this equation for the rest of these values, you can see then if I did 2 plus 5, that would equal 7, 4 plus 5 would be 9. And if you double click in any of these cells, you can see which cell reference is being used in that equation. Now, just to show you an example of the little move hand, you see it shows up when I hover over any of these borders. Okay, I can click and drag and move that cell reference around if it's in the wrong place. I could also resize the reference area if I wanted to make it bigger or smaller. So those are just 2 of the cursors that I didn't get to show you in the first video, but these are different ways that we can create lists using our little drag and drop copy tool, as well as creating patterns that Excel can recognize so that we don't have to keep figuring out mathematical equations ourselves or typing a whole bunch if we end up doing a large data set.